Welcome back on an EFT tapping on the topic of attachment, more specifically being fearful, avoidant, or having a deorganized attachment style. One of the very powerful kind of submarine emotions that we're usually not aware of is shame, because part of us thinks if I was not loved the way I needed when I was a child, if my parents, didn't want to spend more time with me or were not affectionate, it's because something is fundamentally wrong with me. And that's the reason I've been abandoned. So we kind of have an unconscious or maybe conscious self-image of being this gross, dirty, unworthy thing that people want to throw in the garbage. And that can show up in many, many ways, unfortunately, when we find an amazing and healthy partner. We can have feelings of shame, guilt, and overwhelm that are coming to the surface, especially after a moment of connection. So you might experience an amazing weekend, or maybe it was a rainy day and you were comfortably at home with your partner, having an amazing afternoon, eating cookies and watching Netflix, or maybe you had a very intimate dinner date at the lake or at the river or whatnot, where you felt very connected, very close, very vulnerable, being able to open up, and after that you almost feel like an emotional hangover. You kind of feel like you've been hit by a bus emotionally. Maybe you are exhausted, as if all of the life force and energy was drained out of you. So today we're going to do some EFT tapping on the sense of guilt, shame, and overwhelm that come up consciously or unconsciously when we are finally in a healthy dynamic after years of not so healthy relationships. And we might think, finally, I found someone good, so now it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. It's going to be easy from now on. And usually that's when we have to deal with our toughest battle, to kind of forget the old pattern of defensiveness and having to protect ourselves, and turn that into being open and safe, being deeply connected with someone, which is not easy. So, even though part of me doesn't feel good enough, or maybe I feel something is deeply wrong with me, and that's why my parents didn't love me the way I needed. I deeply and completely accept these difficult emotions. Even though I might feel so much shame that I'm completely blocking it out. And I don't even feel shame, because it would be opening a massive Pandora box. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Being loved triggers me. Being cared for triggers me. Someone being nice and amazing and giving me things or attention triggers me. Because it touches the belief, but something is wrong with me. I feel discomfort when my partner expresses admiration. I almost feel like a fraud. It feels unnatural. Maybe a deeply buried part of me is thinking if they found out, they would leave. I'm not as good as I think I am. Or maybe I feel shame and guilt for not feeling as strongly as they do. Maybe I feel that they love me more. And I should be able to love them the same way. And when I don't feel that way, part of me starts to panic. And I ask myself, should I be with them? What if there's someone else out there that I would love more? What if my body is talking to me? And I feel so guilty. Love feels like a responsibility that I might mess up. I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to hurt someone and waste their time. I'm afraid I will hurt them like I was hurt. And sometimes I need space and I feel guilty. And sometimes I nitpick on small flaws and I feel guilty. And I feel responsible for their emotions and happiness. And I feel overwhelmed. I even feel overwhelmed when everything is going well. Maybe I feel flooded with overwhelm after a wonderful weekend. Because there's just too many things I can't control or predict. What if we get married and it doesn't work out? What if we move in and I need space from them? What if I feel out of love and what if I fall out of love and break their heart? And I feel shame, guilt, and overwhelmed. Or maybe I feel numb. I have a tight chest and I feel I'm dissociating. I feel nothing. Maybe I even think stuff like, they could break up with me tomorrow and I wouldn't care. All of this is misdirected self-protection. It is misguided self-love. A small or big part of me is trying to protect my inner child by raising an army of thoughts and emotions, by disconnecting from my partner, by making me feel that I don't care. I'm seeing it for what it is. It is a protection mechanism because I'm scared of love, intimacy, and peace. I feel vulnerable and afraid of being heartbroken. So it's easier to mess things up before I get abandoned. So I feel some sort of control. This is not how I want to live. I want to grow old with someone with peace and a deep knowing that I'm happy. And I can do that. Even if sometimes it feels impossible. I can do it. The founder of EFT, Gary Craig, may he rest in peace, had remarkable results with PTSD in the beginning of EFT, where veterans were finally finding peace after years of turmoil. And I'm kind of in the same boat. My inner child is scared and traumatized. And this is something I absolutely can heal from. And I allow myself to let go of the shame. It was never my fault. Some adults neglected me because they just didn't know better. And I thought something was wrong with me. And that's a lie. I'm a beautiful child that came from Source. And there is nothing to be ashamed of. By tapping, I'm healing. And taking full responsibility for changing and releasing old patterns. With peace and safety. Deep breath in and breathe out. The last words I will tell you is when you feel dissociated, exhausted, or maybe panicky, your chest feels heavy, the shallow breathing. This is the best image I can give you is your inner child being completely panicky at the idea that it might be abandoned once more. And as a child, even if a parent was working really hard to provide for the family, we could have internalized that as a form of abandonment, thinking if I was better, if I was more lovable, they would spend more time with me. Now, as adults, we know that that's not true, but we didn't have those cognitive abilities as a child. So it's very important that we reestablish some truths and release some misunderstandings that formed at a very young age when our understanding of the world and our parents was very limited. When you feel shame, guilt, and overwhelmed about some of the thoughts you have in your now healthy relationship, just remember it's your inner child doing the best he or she can with limited resources, and EFT brings you so much more resources and peace in order to let yourself know that everything can be okay. And of course, with EFT, the most powerful, efficient, and fast way to get to the root cause of something is by being extremely specific. So this is why I'm going to try to do these fearful avoidant EFT tapping videos on very specific subjects. Obviously, if you want more personalized, deeper support on some of the things that might have happened either in your childhood or later relationships that then created insecurity around attachment, this is definitely something we can explore together, and you'll find all of the information in the link in the description of this video. So thank you for tapping today, and I'll see you in the next video.